Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Origins Scareglow, Evil Ghost of Skeletor. That is right, my friends. We are jumping into Wave 2 of the Origins lineup with probably the most anticipated figure. Scareglow has always been a very popular one. In fact, he was one of my favorite figures in my childhood. I love this character so much. I thought he was so cool looking that he sort of became Skeletor to me for a while as a kid. But his popularity has only grown over the years. It's hard to argue with it. He's a glow-in-the-dark skeleton guy, a buffed out glow-in-the-dark skeleton. He's a very cool looking figure. So it's pretty interesting that Mattel caught on to this because they gave us him so early in the line. He was one of the last figures in the original line, and here he is being released as one of the first figures in Origins. So let's dive right in and check him out. So the figure does come on that very cool vintage-inspired card back for the new Origins line there. Love the red bursting rocks and everything. Scareglow is depicted inside that standard Masters of the Universe blister bubble. You can see the mini comic there behind him, which is very cool. I do have a little bit of warping on mine. I will say these card backs are very thin, and they do bend easy. It also doesn't help that when you order these from Walmart, Walmart likes to bend these things and cram them in the boxes that are too small for them, which is exactly what happened with my Scareglow here. But it is what it is, I guess. The back does feature some absolutely amazing artwork. Love the amazing artwork on all of the figures in Origins so far. You can see Scareglow diving out at Prince Adam and Clamp Champ. Looks amazing. And then down below that, we've got the cross-cell showing the other figures here that are going to be in Wave 2, along with He-Man and Skeletor. And then we even have the cool little action feature how-to right here, which comes straight off the back of the original packages, showing you how the figure glows in the dark. So really amazing stuff. Let's get this guy ripped open and get a closer look at him. So real quick, before we get to the figure, he does include a mini comic in the package. Just like with Wave 1, Wave 2 has the same mini comic for all 4 figures, but it is a new mini comic titled Double Trouble. So you can see it's several pages long here. Not quite as long as the vintage ones, but it does have a little fun story in there that actually includes all 4 characters that are in Wave 2 here. Orko, Scareglow, Mannyfaces, and Trapjaw, they're all there. So same comic will come with all 4 figures as an added bonus. All right, we have got our Scareglow action figure outside of the packaging so we can take a closer look at it. Of course, as always, I want to start with the tape measure to show you guys that the figure stands just shy of 6 inches tall. Now, technically, they're in the 5.5-inch scale like the vintage toy line, but the vintage figures were always in those squat, bent-kneed poses. So with the added articulation, these do stand a little taller, but they still very much have the same aesthetics and almost fit right in with the look of the vintage figures. In fact, even with the added articulation, you can see that there's still a slight bend in the knees there, even when I've got the legs all the way straight there. But otherwise, yeah, they are a little bit different, a little bit taller. And one of the other things that we need to talk about here is that as we're going through the figures, you are going to start seeing a lot more parts reuse. Because just like in the vintage line, Mattel is reusing pieces that are already existing from other figures. This is a normal characteristic of Masters of the Universe. It was in the vintage line, it was in the classics line. It continues here because most of what we've got here with Scareglow is just reused from Skeletor. Same arms, same boots, the body there, with the only new differences being the sculpt of the head and the cape that he's got, as well as his weapon accessory. Of course, the big standout thing with Scareglow is the fact that he is made of glow-in-the-dark plastic. And I gotta tell you that I'm very happy to see how this figure looks in person, because a lot of the prototypes of this guy, he was more of a solid white color, and he looked more like he was like white plastic painted with glow-in-the-dark paint, and I did not want that at all. I wanted the actual kind of semi-translucent glow-in-the-dark plastic that the vintage figure had, and thankfully, that's exactly what Mattel went with. So you can see he's got that kind of semi-translucent, like glossy body because it's that glow-in-the-dark plastic. And honestly, it looks great. It looks really, really cool. So there's very minimal paint on a guy like Scareglow. He's got like just the black details on his face. You can see the red dots on his eyes there. And then he's got like kind of the bone-like details or the shadows type of bone type look there, painted in black all throughout his muscular body. And for the most part, it looks really good. I do have some spots where it looks like the black wasn't laid on as thick or some of the paint is scuffing, but it's not terrible. Overall, he looks really good. I mean, this looks like Scareglow. And, to the untrained eye, he almost looks just like the vintage Scareglow. But we'll get a good comparison time a little bit later on in the video. The cape that he's wearing this time around is made of plastic rather than the cloth that it was on the vintage action figure. Now, it looks really nice because you can see it's got this texture to it that almost makes it look like a cloth robe, and it is a very soft, pliable plastic, so it's not super stiff. So actually, I do like this quite a bit. It's a bit of a lighter purple. It was a darker purple on the vintage figure, but still, the purple looks pretty good here. And I do like this. You can see that it is styled even like his vintage cape because it's kind of got the collar there. It's got a little rope coming down over the neck. So all in all, I do really like this. Now, I do love the cloth cape on the vintage figure, but I think this plastic cape works really nice. And unlike on the Classics figure, like one of my complaints about the Classics figure was that the cape was too long and it actually like went down below his feet a little bit. So you can see this actually cuts short just above his boots, which is what the cape on the vintage figure does. So yeah, I like this quite a bit. I think that's pretty cool. So let's go and talk about articulation. Now, of course, this is going to be right on par with everything that we've seen in Origins so far. One of the things I want to point out is that the neck joint on my Scareglow is super loose. Like, look at the head. It is really, really bobbling around there. So that is unfortunate. So just a really, really loose neck on mine. Otherwise, you do have the joints at the shoulders that allow the arms to go outwards, move forwards and backwards. You've got swivels at the elbow. You've got a bend at the elbow. You've got swivels at the wrist and hinge joints at the wrist. Swivel at the waist, and then the ball-like hinges there at the legs, so the legs can go outwards. They can move forwards and backwards. You can swivel at the knee. You can bend at the knee. You can swivel at the boot, and then the ankles can move forwards and backwards, as well as rock side to side. And they're pretty tight on this guy with the exception of the head joint that I just showed you there. So all the joints are really nice and tight on him. The articulation is really nice on these guys. Like, it's really cool kind of having this vintage aesthetic, but still having some nice articulation. And so far, I've been really happy with just the way these figures feel because they feel real nice and solid. They stand really good. This loose joint at the head is really the first time I've had something like this. So like I said, it's a bit unfortunate that it bobbles around like that, but the rest of the articulation is pretty nice on this guy. So of course, the other thing I've been showing on all the Origins figures is that the parts are totally modular here. So like the head is on a ball joint, so you can pop it off. You can see this is where it's loose. Unfortunately, that's where my neck joint is loose. But you can also pull the arms out at the shoulders. You can pull the hands out at the wrists. So you can pop those in and out. You can pop the torso off at the waist. Easily clips back on, and you can pop the boots off as well. Ooh, they are very, very tight on my Scareglow. Hold on. Maybe, there we go. Wow, that was just really, really tight on this figure. But this is all by design. So one of the things, it's kind of like a hidden feature in the Origins line that all the parts are totally modular. They do clip in really nice and tight, but this is going to allow for some mixing and matching between figures if that's something you want to do. That's especially nice, I know, for customizers. And honestly, it's kind of a fun little added bonus for play. I really hate that loose neck joint though. That's awful. And then the one accessory that he includes is his halberd, which is done in a very, very bright green. Again, just like the vintage toy. There was a glow-in-the-dark variant in the vintage line as well, but I think the green is more common. It's the most well-known. So it's very similar to the vintage one. It's not exactly the same. In fact, I think it's a little bit bigger. The blade's a little bit bigger there, but it's a really nice weapon. You can't have Scareglow without it. It looks really, really cool. So, this is the part that I know you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about glow-in-the-dark action feature. The plastic on this guy is awesome because when you turn the lights out, The glow-in-the-dark feature is so good and so strong on this figure. Seriously, it blows so bright. I was so impressed with the shots I was able to get with my camera there, but it looks amazing, and it lasts a really long time. Like, when I left this guy in the dark, I was really impressed how long the glow lasted. So, great work, Mattel. You really picked some very good glow-in-the-dark plastic. All right, guys, it's comparison time. So here's the new Origins Scareglow standing alongside his vintage action figure counterpart. That way you can see the similarities and the differences between the two. You can see the differences in the cape that I talked about, with the cloth and the darker purple on the vintage, but they look pretty good standing next to each other. They look very, very similar. And when you turn out the lights, ooh, double glow, baby. But look, the Origins one is a bit brighter. And here he is standing alongside the Masters of the Universe Classic Scareglow action figure. Again, one of my favorites from that line, but it's pretty cool looking at these two standing side by side. And once again, we're going to turn off the lights so you can see the glow comparison between the two. So while we're talking about the other figures, this is something else that I want to do just for fun. First of all, here, let me get a closer comparison on the weapons for you. So the one in my left hand is the vintage. The one in my right hand is the new Origins one. You can see that the Origins one is longer. It does look like the blade is about the same size, actually. It is very, very similar, but it is taller. So it's going to stand out. It's not going to get confused with the vintage weapon, thankfully. It's much brighter as well. So that's what those look like. But the other thing I wanted to do is actually swap the capes, because I'm very, very curious here, actually, between the two. So let me pop this off here. We could probably get that over the head. There we go. We're gonna put the cloth cape on Origins Scareglow. Oh man, how good does that look? Now, the cloth cape is actually one of the harder to get accessories from the vintage line. It's one that's lost and it's always expensive. But if you've got one, it looks really cool, actually, on Origins Scareglow. I like that. I like that quite a bit. Just for fun, we're also going to take the plastic cape from Origins. There we go. Pop it over the head of your vintage. I mean, honestly, these both look pretty sweet. I think I like both capes for what they are. And yeah, that's actually some pretty cool options right there. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Origins Scareglow. Overall, I really like this figure. And, he's always been popular. He was very popular in the vintage line. He's been sought after for years. I have a feeling this one's going to be very popular as well. And it's a really fun action figure. It's a good update. It really does have that vintage feel with the modern articulation, which is exactly what this line is going for. So I could definitely see this one being a favorite in the bunch. So this figure is supposed to just now be hitting Walmart stores. Origins is still exclusive to Walmart until the end of this year. After that, they're supposed to be everywhere, including online retailers. Hopefully that means these will all be a lot easier to get. I was lucky enough that I was able to pre-order this from Walmart's website back in August, and after several delays, they finally delivered it. So hopefully you guys were able to get it that way as well. If not, hopefully you'll have a chance to find this in stores pretty soon, but definitely keep your eyes peeled for 2021, because hopefully, like I said, online stores will all be carrying these, and they'll be much easier to get at that point. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.
The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is available for pre-order now. This official guidebook is published by Dark Horse Books and features over 750 pages of photos and information on your favorite He-Man and She-Ra action figures. And don't miss out on the exclusive bundle pack available for pre-order now from PowerCon. This bundle includes the official guide as well as an exclusive character guide supplement that you won't be able to buy anywhere else. Don't miss out. You have the power.